Hi everyone, it's Peg, and it's time for this month's release of the Pick-a-Stick Challenge. That's a Facebook group, Pick-a-Stick Challenge, and each month we offer several challenges, one of which is a journaling page. So I'm going to get started here, and it says for the first prompt to use a sponge brush and paint random marks. Well, I'm using a sponge brush roller. In other words, a sponge on a brayer, and I'm just applying some DecoArt fluid media paint to my page using that sponge brayer, and then I'm going to do a few drips with some acrylic inks on the page, and I'm deciding that that's a little bit darker than I wanted, and I'm not getting what I want, and yeah, okay, so I'm off to one of those starts where, because the prompt number 2 says use ink, so I thought, well, these acrylic inks would be in a color that would be complementary, but I'm finding that it's a little bit dark, so I kind of mopped up a little bit, and then step number 3 says add hand or machine stitching. Well, I'm not very good at sewing, especially not in a journal, because that means you have to pick up the page and take it and try to sew it, cram it in a machine. So I thought, okay, I'll just tear some pieces and I will sew around those pieces, and then I will adhere them to my page. So that's kind of what I've chosen to do here. I've cut out these, or torn out these pieces of paper in a complementary color. I've got the blue-green on the page, and I thought, well, I'll just go opposite to the red side of the color spectrum and do something in a circular shape, which is always kind of pleasing, at least to me. I like circles. So I'll glue those down on the page, and then the next step, step number 4, says to draw big. So I thought about step number 4 for a bit, and then I thought, well, I don't really have a theme going on here, so I just took out a pen and I decided to doodle in a random style. This is a fountain pen, and it has some blue ink in it, and I just thought, okay, I'll just scribble and doodle all over, and that'll be big because it's just all over the place, right? So that was my draw big. Then step 5 says use something from a game. Well, I didn't really have anything handy from a game, so I decided to pull out the wild card. And the wild card says add triangles. So I did have this stencil. I think it's a Diane Reevely stencil, and I was going to put triangles on. Of course, my my paint was a little bit runny, wasn't working quite the way I wanted it to, so then I ended up going to some gesso, which worked a little bit better, but still wasn't giving me quite the effect I wanted. So wasn't real pleased with the overall effect of the triangles, but that's the way it is when you're putting some of these things together. And it's going to end up with more and more layers on here, because that was only step 5. We have 10 steps in this, and at some point you just have to go with the flow and say, okay, good enough, I've got triangles, I did what it asked me to do, so that's good, I'm gonna let it go. So step 6 says add something cut from a magazine. Well, I happen to have a magazine sitting around here that was something in my junk mail pile, and the cover of this, it was an ad for a outlet mall. The cover of this had a nice looking model on the front of it, and I thought, okay, I'll just cut her out and put her on the page. The colors were complementary to what I had on the page already, and I thought, yep, I can do her. And I thought, I'm not going to leave her in the state that she's in. Heavens, no, I'm just going to glue her down, and then I'm going to come in with some paint and some Neocolor 2 and just you know, make her my own. I tried several things. I tried putting a crown on her. I tried finding another face to put on. Yeah, just wasn't coming up with the right combination. So I just decided that I was going to paint. So I'm using some Deco Page. This is a matte medium from Deco Art Americana line. And I'm putting that down using that matte medium. And while I'm at it, I just thought, well, I'm going to coat the whole page because I'm going to be putting some other layers on, and I wanted to seal those circular shapes down. And I'm going to use a brayer as I'm drying this just to try to flatten it out, because you know this is real thin paper. Those magazines are not meant to be glued with a wet glue, but sometimes if you use a brayer like this, you can smooth it out pretty well and have some decent effects putting that down on your page. So I'm going to get some Deco Art gesso and paint in her face because I want to obscure what's on there. And you can see me flipping through looking for other images to cut out to put onto my piece. Eventually, I come to the conclusion that I'm not going to find anything that suits me, so I might as well just go ahead and get my painting done and stop messing around because, yeah, I can spend a lot of time just fiddling with stuff, and I'm still not sure what direction this whole page is going to go. So I'm going to use a China marker and, you know, put the face down, and she looks like she's thinking things over and having a great big puzzle. Just, yeah, anyway, that seems to be the expression that I'm getting on her face is, oh, you know, not worry, but contemplation, thinking things over. So I'm going to use those Neocolor 2 and color in the face and the hair and her clothing and, you know, her, my girl. I'm going to color her in using that and a little gesso and just giving her my own personality. And then it says for step number, where are we? Step number 7, use a straight edge. Well, can't get any straighter than a ruler, so I'm going to pull out a ruler and use that to create a border. Yeah, I'm still fiddling with the China marker. I do like these China markers. I have this in a black and a white, and I just don't pull them out often enough to use them. So she kind of went to the dark side, but that's okay. I mean, I'm still happy with the overall page and the effect that I got on her. So I'm not going to complain about it. I need to pull them out and use them more often. And yeah, reminder to self, use China markers. Okay, so looks like I'm just using the water brush and doing a little bit of blending. I used a Stabilo All pencil around the edge, and what else did I do? I guess that's about it. So we're up to step 7. And I just want to remind you guys that if you like doing this kind of a challenge and you want to join us, the Facebook group is Pick a Stick Challenge, and I always have the link in the description box below. And there are a number of us each month that do this, and if you look for that hashtag each month, This one happens to be hashtag PASC0717. That's Pick a Stick Challenge, July of 2017. Then you'll see all of the videos and things that are out here on social media that other people have posted using these same prompts. Okay, finally, step number 7. Okay. So step number 8 is print and attach something from your computer. So I went out and found a quote about contemplation, and it says, to broaden one's perspective is to push back the swirling winds of ignorance. And I thought, okay, she still looks like she's in contemplation to me. So I'm going to use that quote on my page, and I'm just going to put that down with a Yoo-Hoo glue stick. I like these. They come in colors, and when they're dry, they dry clear and you don't see the color any longer. So Yoo-Hoo is usually my glue stick of choice. Step 9 says, make a texture stamp gluing string to cardboard. Okay, so I glued some string to a cardboard, and I'm going to use some white pigment ink, trying to brighten up that page, because to me it's starting to get really dark, and I really wanted to leave some white space. I really wanted this page to be brighter than it's turning out to be, although this deep thought contemplation isn't terribly bright. So we're up to the final and last step, which is step 10. It says use gel medium to create a resist image. So I pull out my heavy gel from Golden, and that same triangular stencil, I'm stuck on the triangle, and I'm going to apply some of that heavy gel matte medium through that stencil onto those circular shapes. And yeah, we create a resist, but it's the very last step. And typically, if you're creating resist, you're resisting something else like ink or paint or, you know, I'm saying, okay, I got to do something with that resist. So I'm pulling out some different sprays. I have some Deco Art Media spray. This is an acrylic spray, and I use it in several different colors. Wasn't really happy with how that red looked. It was pretty bright red, and so then I tried some plum on top of that. Yeah, I wasn't feeling that either, but you know, it is what it is. I should have stopped several steps ago, but you know, when you got 10 steps to do, that's a lot, and sometimes you say to yourself, oh, I wished I had stopped at maybe step 7 or something instead of all of this other stuff. But you know, you go with the flow. You just complete the project and do the steps, and it is a journal page after all. It's not a work of art that you're going to sell or have in a gallery. So I pull out some Marablue art spray. It's a mixed media art spray, and I am just using that what do you call it, spray nozzle to apply some of that around those circular shapes, and spritzing with a little bit of water, and I'll do a little bit of dots and dashes and edging, and that's about it for my page this month. I hope you come and join us. If you like this, give me a thumbs up. If you want to get more notifications about when I am broadcasting, if you are on a computer and can go down below into the description area and click on that bell, you will get notifications in the future. So I thank you for stopping in. I thank you for any kind comments that you leave. I always appreciate hearing from you. And have a great day. Enjoy the rest of the summer if you can. I'm thinking, wow, this is the end of July already. So yeah, another thing to have deep contemplation about, right? I'll do some final shots, and that's it for this month. See you next month. Bye.